Hey everybody, next up on the Launchpad stage we have Elise Dietrich, Chief Product Officer from TripleTen. Please welcome Elise.
Hi everybody and welcome. Good morning. So as I was introduced, my name is Elise Dietrich and I'm Chief Product Officer at TripleTen, and I'm here to talk to you today about how we use AI to motivate students to change their lives. And I really want to focus in on this change their lives part of what I'm saying, because at TripleTen we're a boot camp, which means we take anyone who is willing and shows up and get them their first job in tech. And this isn't really that strange. 29% of adults, about 1 out of every 3, have completely changed fields since their first post-college job. But when we start introducing things like boot camps and MOOCs and certificates, we've noticed that the more accessible the education is, online, cheaper, the worse the graduation rate is. And so the question becomes, so what do we do? How do we get more students to actually graduate through all of these programs, especially as the workforce is becoming very dynamic? And so Chen and Jing in 2010 tried to put together how self-determination theory, aka motivation, works in online classrooms. And they were like, okay, well, contextual support feeds our need satisfaction, which develops our self-determination, which provides learning outcomes. All right, that's very technical, so I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say I'm working on something for an hour, and it's really hard, and I'm trying for this hour, and it's not working. Well, my perception of this, or need satisfaction, is gonna be, I'm not very competent, I'm not very autonomous. And self-determination being, I can't do this. And so when the next choice to do or not do this occurs, I'm going to say no, versus I'm working on something for 10 minutes and I'm getting stuck, but a teacher or an AI comes in and says, hey, let me help you, and gets me unstuck. 5 minutes later, I'm on my way. Well, now my perception of myself is I'm more competent, I can be more autonomous, and when the next choice to do or not do this activity comes up, I'll choose to do it. And I'll keep coming back again and again, and it's a self-perpetuating cycle. It would be nice if that's how it worked out, but it didn't really. This part was true, but actually just contextualized support, that AI support, feeds course satisfaction, and engagement was driven by need satisfaction. So students' perception of, was that contextual support enough to help them, basically. And so we started building AI at TripleTen, a few different things. So for example, for AI feedback, it's kind of easy when you have a coding program like software engineering or data science to have really interactive materials. But for QA, when you have a 2-week sprint where the first week is theory and the second week is the project, it's really hard to get feedback. And so for example, in this video, they're trying to do a lesson on boundary values, which is basically plus or minus the boundary value for every boundary value you have. And so we used to have these multiple choice questions. They were okay, but not great. And so we inserted this AI auto-graded question. And so 50 characters, 49 and 51, there's our test cases, and we're going to submit it. And Anthropic is going to actually return a score as well as rich feedback. And so I did okay, so that's like a 1. And it's going to be like, well, you forgot the lower bounds. You didn't test any of these lower boundaries. Okay, so that's probably 0. So plus or minus 1, -1 and 1. Great. And I'm going to keep trying this. And what we found is that the active time, the amount of time students spent on lessons with these embedded in, actually increased, which we expected. We're giving them a new question. Great. But the calendar time to actually complete the sprint decreased because they were learning so much better. So that worked so well, we were like, well, there's tons of other things we can do. And so I want to introduce you to Dot, our AI learning assistant. There's tons of AI assistants out in the booth today. I'm not trying to sell this to you. But Dot is trained on our curriculum. And so when we do things like start a lesson for the first time in a while, and it's like, oh, I don't quite remember what this div tag thing is, I can simply highlight it and click Explain by Dot. It'll pop it open in our interface, and actually explain it in a way that the student has seen before. You're going to notice it says some funny things like div stands for division. It's like an invisible box that holds other content. It's exactly the same way we explained it in a previous lesson, so they're not getting this textbook definition. That sounds kind of funny. But it's also a chat interface. So I can take one of the recommendations that it gave me and plop it in there. I can ask it any other question and go back and forth. And we found about half and half of it just highlighting and explaining versus asking questions. Well, that worked so well, we decided to put Dot on the actual projects, because remember, it's a 2-week sprint, half theory, half project. So the theory part's covered, and so we actually embedded Dot right into VS Code. And so again, Dot knows all of our curriculum, but now it knows what the student actually put inside the code. And so you can do things like ask Dot to help you fix errors or get feedback on where am I in terms of the spec of this project. Have I done everything I'm supposed to for this stage? So I can say, hey Dot, how am I doing? And it's like, okay, you're kind of between these stages. Which one are you working on? Okay, stage 2. Sure, fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and ask it to help me with this next part of stage 2, which is I'm stuck on and I wanted its help anyway. And you're going to notice it doesn't tell me the answer. There is no copy paste here. It sounds like a real tutor. It's going to say, hey, we're going to do position absolute, and then we're going to do top and left. And actually, can you try that before you ask me again? And this has been absolutely phenomenal. Students know exactly what they're doing, where they are. In the first 2 weeks after launching this, we got over 10,000 messages to Dot. We are not getting rid of our human tutors. I know there's a lot of a pitch around, okay, but like you have AI now, you can get rid of them. No, they're still there. AI is still fallible. We're going to have tutors. We're going to have human code reviewers. We're going to have our wonderful career coaches, because at the end of the day, you need to get a job. You need your LinkedIn and your resume and everything wonderfully done. But if we keep teaching students how to use AI through Dot and all of these really hand-holdy tools, how do they actually learn how to use it in a professional sense? And so we actually have curriculum coming throughout this quarter and next, introducing code completion, AI-assisted debugging, AI for code reviews, vibe coding in software engineering. In cybersecurity, it's risks of AI systems, best practices for securing AI implementation, automating security tasks. Data science is basically how do you build an LLM, and actually throughout all of our 6 programs. And the reason this is so important to us is that our program comes with a money-back guarantee. And so if it takes students more than 10 months after completing their program to get a job that they trained in, we refund 100% of their tuition. So this was just a few examples of how we've embedded AI. If you want to come talk to us about what we're going to do next, our AI program that we're testing right now, or anything else, we're at the booth in the higher education section, C11, or you can visit us at TripleTen.com. Thank you.